Thank you for that. Let's go to the first time certain item, please. Item number 141.
Accept funding and authorize intergovernmental agreement with Washington County for $1 million for Southwest Multnomah Garden Home Intersection Safety Project.
Colleagues, Transportation Commissioner Chloe Udaly is out today, so she asked if I'd step in and introduce this exciting opportunity to partner with Washington County on an improvement that will help residents connect to town centers, transit, and nearby businesses and schools. Now I'd like to welcome PBOT Project Manager Timur Ender to give an overview of the project, and then I know he has some invited testimony before we open it up for public testimony. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor Wheeler. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
You
good
can
morning.
move that closer to
Okay.
her if it's more comfortable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Hardesty. Good morning, Commissioner Fish. My name is Timur Ender. Here on behalf of the Portland Bureau of Transportation, talk to you about the Southwest Multnomah Garden Home Project. Also like to introduce the other people joining me here at the table. To my left is Brad Taylor, and he's with Brad Taylor Group, and he is consulting with us to expand our public engagement capacity on this project. And furthest to your right is Ben Lively, who is my colleague at Washington County, who we've been working with on this project. So quick background, just to clarify where this is in Portland. It is so far southwest that it's actually in Washington County. PBOT assumed jurisdiction of the street in 1992 in what's known as a jurisdictional transfer. If you're on Southwest Multnomah and you keep going past Multnomah Village and past 45th, kind of near Olson Road, this is kind of where that is, right in front of Old Market Pub there. So just to orient you. We're here today because we have a grant from Washington County. This is one of the best types of grants we can get. It's extremely flexible in how we design the intersection. They're also have agreed to waive permit fees for us as well. Some of the challenges with this intersection is there's ambiguity about who has the right of way. There's multiple legs serving the intersection, which creates safety challenges, and it lacks biking and walking facilities. The improvements we are proposing to make include filling sidewalk gaps, improving the safety of the intersection itself, installing curb ramps, and improvements that will benefit transit reliability. This is a multi-jurisdictional partnership. One of the things that happens when you're involved in the edge of a jurisdictional area is there's kind of this alphabet soup of different agencies working. And so because of school buses in Beaverton, and one block away is City of Beaverton, one block in the other direction is unincorporated Washington County, we've had to coordinate with a number of different agencies, which has been exciting. So just to give you a quick overview of what we're proposing, we've opened it up to the public to help inform us whether we move forward with either a signal or a roundabout at this location. The signal option is costs between $2.5 million and $4.5 million, and move forward to the roundabout option, which is in the ballpark of $4 million to $6 million. And the increased costs for the roundabout are related to intersection geometry, greater impacts on private property, and stormwater needs that would need to be addressed. However, roundabouts are also the safest type of intersection because a lot of fatalities that happen at intersections are related to speed. And one of the key design features of a roundabout is slower speeds. And so what some people say is if you get in a crash in a roundabout, you're leaving in a tow truck and not an ambulance. So I want to highlight, we're also looking at some sort of biking and walking facility with paint and posts on Multnomah between 45th and Garden Home consolidated on one side of the street without affecting the number of travel lanes. Public engagement, we talked with Sweeney, Southwest Neighborhood Inc., their transportation committee. We engaged with the Bicycle Advisory Committee. We also had an open house that had 130 people attend about this one intersection. And then we had held office hours at the intersection of Olson and Garden Home Road. We had launched an online survey that had 900 responses, which for PBOT is fairly high. We also, Brad Taylor went door to door to residents that would be affected by this proposal and personally invited them to engage in the public process, and we believe that's one of the key reasons why we've been so successful at having a lot of people engage with us both in the online open house and the in-person open house. I checked yesterday, and we've had about 930 respondents. One of the key questions that was important for me was asking people, assuming cost is not a factor, which would you prefer, roundabout or the signal? And 70% of people supported roundabout. And then we mentioned roundabout does cost more money and could take more time if we are to look for more money and to design a more complex intersection. Public feedback basically stayed fairly high at 64%. The top three safety concerns that we heard was relating to the sheer volume of traffic in this area with growth in Southwest Portland, and then speeding concerns as well, and then right-of-way ambiguity. Also, other things we've heard from community members was concerns from people walking and biking, particularly related to the roundabout. And then that public improvement should benefit public streets. So the other thing I'll mention is what's in front of you today, because sometimes it's kind of confusing. The council action you're being requested to take is basically accept $1 million in funding from Washington County and to authorize the city of Portland to initiate intergovernmental agreement with Washington County and how we move forward with this project. I also, for the people watching, I just want to mention this is not a decision point as far as whether we move forward with a roundabout or a signal. You're not asked to make that decision. Certainly, we welcome any input that you have. PBOT will be making that decision as we evaluate three things: public feedback, what is technically feasible, and the amount of funding we have to move forward. So those three things will be our driving factors as we decide later this spring, early summer, which one we move forward with. And then we do have a website for people who are interested in. That's portlandoregon.gov/transportation/GH. I'm happy to answer any questions. I can also turn it over to Brad Taylor, who can talk about some of the public engagement that we've done with this project. Sure.
Commissioner Hardesty has a question.
First, thank you very much. Very excellent presentation. Thank you, Brad Taylor. I'm not surprised that you had 900 respondents when you engaged people one-on-one. You just said something about PDOT will make the decision about which option we would choose. I would think if cost comes into play, you would probably want to be talking to us as well about where the other money comes from, right?
Yes.
Because as you said, we're making choices, but I don't want to think that you're not going to come back in front of the city council and make the case for why you're going to make whatever choice you make.
Okay. Commissioner Hardesty, if you're extending that invitation, we'd be happy to engage with council about additional funding if that's something you would like us to do, for sure.
Well, no. I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear that it's the city council that makes funding decisions and not PDOT.
Okay.
So when you said PDOT would make the decision, I just want to correct that for the record.
Okay.
Right?
I
I
understand.
suspect that you'll be doing another presentation to say, and this is the option we have, and this is how much money we've raised. Right?
Yes, I understand your point. I guess to clarify, what I had meant
Please.
is PBOT has a way of applying for system development charges internally. So there's a list of system development charges that have been approved by council, and they're identified. So X project gets this much money. And so what, as a project manager, I can do is apply for system development charges that are attached to, for example, this intersection. And so that's kind of what I had meant when I said I can apply internally for those sorts of funding, if that makes sense.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Brad, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. My name is Brad Taylor with Brad Taylor Group, and I was asked to come just to give an overview of our outreach efforts. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. We were quite successful with outreach and participation, and as Commissioner Hardesty mentioned, I think it's because we engaged people in a variety of ways and met them where they were at. So we started with the mailer to let them know that this was going to happen, and then followed up with a door-to-door opportunity to engage, and left a flyer at that point with additional ways to engage with the project. And the idea was to really give a warm invitation so that people knew that we were wanting not only their attendance, but their engagement and their feedback. We met people at meetings that they already attended, as was mentioned, the Sweeney and the Bicycle Advisory Commission, and also had office hours. And our philosophy was when we would gather a group in the room and we would hear their feedback, we would also have their feedback recorded in writing so that we could display it and move it from location to location. So neighbors were not only able to hear the presentation that Timur just presented, but also see what other neighbors have already said, which would then spark ideas of their own. And we kept track of where people were coming in with their concerns, which I believe you have a summary in the packet that you've been provided. And the idea was to not only give the opportunity for people to be heard, but also the opportunity to feel heard and to see their words being shown. The full report that will memorialize the project will have the breakdown of the feedback of each meeting, and we'll also have a representative sample of email exchanges and emails that were also presented to inform the project. So again, the idea was to give people multiple invitations and opportunities to engage, and then to really make them feel that their voice was valued and that their concerns would be preserved in the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Ben Lively from Washington County's Land Use and Transportation Department, Capital Projects Management Division. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak in regards to the Garden Home Road Multnomah Boulevard intersection project. This project has the opportunity to make significant improvements to the safety and functionality of that intersection. And as you've heard from Timur this morning, Washington County's allocated $1 million of funding for this project. Those funds are apportioned from Washington County's Major Streets Transportation Improvement Program. And the distribution of the funds and the responsibilities of the county and the city are detailed in the agreement that we're discussing today. But in brief, the county commits $1 million in funding to the project, to the city for the project, and the project continues to be solely administered by the city. Last month, on January 22nd, Washington County Board of Commissioners approved the execution of the agreement upon approval by this council and completion of the county's contract review process. The county looks forward to the execution of the agreement, if approved by this council, and providing the funding and continuing collaboration with the city to create a successful project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mayor, we did have two people invited to testify. Is this the right time to call them up?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. We have Jerry Rundolph, President of the Ash Creek Neighborhood Association, and Stan Hausman, CPO 3 Chair, which is kind of, CPO is the District Coalition equivalent for Washington County. And he's actually sick, so I'll read his remarks after Jerry.
Very good. Welcome. Thanks for being
Hi,
here.
my name is Jerry Rundorf. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Just want to reiterate, this project puts a smile on our face as I am Ash Creek Neighborhood Association President. Seeing your day-to-day situations, I want to just implore you that this could put a smile on your face too, as seeing you go through your duties today. Lived in Portland my entire life, lived about 2 miles away from this intersection for my entire life, and see the ambiguity in the geometry of it, like Timur said, and even though the accident rates don't show it in data, there's a lot of close calls in this intersection day and night. And just want to put on the record that Timur and his staff have done great public outreach. As I talk to my neighbors to gauge their input on one choice or another, the takeaway is we desire any change. I appreciate your concern for the money, Commissioner Hardesty, and I feel that the neighbors that I represent would like change, and if it comes to a situation where no change is made due to money, we're interested in getting some change, maybe back to the signal situation versus the roundabout, but everybody has a smile on their face, looking forward to some change for this intersection. I applaud Timur and all of his staff's effort. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now I'll read testimony from Stan Hausman, who's the chair of CPO 3 in Washington County. On behalf of community participant organization in Garden Home, Raleigh Hills, and West Slope area of Washington County, we appreciate being able to provide feedback with whichever outcome prevails Our only interest is that the outcome proves to be a safer and better situation than is currently present. We look forward to seeing the final result and any opportunity to provide input into the process. So that concludes our presentation. If there's any other questions from council, I'd be happy to answer those.
Very good. Colleagues, any questions at this point? We'll go to public testimony.
Yes, Mayor, we've had 2 people sign up,
Very good.
Maggie and Charles Bridger and Johnson.
This is your first time at the mic, isn't it? Welcome.
That's rather unexpected.
Yeah, this is it's an important waypoint. We're glad to have you here. Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, and the fresh person clerk, Charles Bridge Crane Johnson, as the former state treasurer had to sometimes also listen to in Salem. I want to thank Commissioner Hardesty for her question, because it's, I think, illuminating for us as citizens, even those of us that engaged for 7 years with the city government, that if we want $50,000 to help with homelessness, we might have to have an agenda item. But the way that SDCs are structured is we have $2 million of slushy money, so we might be able to access $2 million of slush money for a traffic light, or maybe there's $4 million of slush money for a roundabout. People have mixed feelings about roundabouts. I love roundabouts that have gold-plated statues of Joan of Arc in them at Gleason and Cesar Estrada Chavez Boulevard. I don't know if we'll get a gold-plated Joan of Arc or duplicate Coast Circle at this location. The other thing, as we look at the overall committee, city commitment to equity, it's great that we have an opportunity to engage with $1 million of Washington County money out on the southwest edge. We know, as was mentioned by one of the testifiers, that lethality at this intersection is not a problem, or is not nearly as high a problem as in other areas of the city. So I know that you're all committed to making sure that the equal amount of time that went into this southwest lucky Washington County $1 million connection, equally we're able to continue to address deaths on division and Vision Zero challenges throughout the rest of the county. Thank you.
Does that complete public testimony?
If Maggie hasn't come back, no,
Don't
that's
see
it,
her.
yes.
Very good.